Okay, today we're going to learn how to create some functions with conditionals. I'm going to go to my REPLs, then I'm going to create a new REPL with Python. Let's say I first want to create a function that can tell me whether I can open a checking account. So I'm going to define a function, can open a checking account. And there are two things, like you need a certain amount of money and you need to have an age. So I'll make two parameters for my function. Whenever I want to use this function, I will specify the age and I will also specify the amount of money. And then I'm going to say some conditions. I'll say if the age is greater than or equal to 18, so I have to be at least 18 years old, and the amount of money is greater than or equal to 100, so I have to have at least $100. So maybe instead of saying amount of money, which is not very clear, does that mean pennies? Does that mean nickels? I'll say, let's say num dollars. Change this variable to be num dollars. So if the number of dollars is greater than or equal to 100 and the age is greater than or equal to 18, then I will return true, because it's true that this person can open a checking account. Else, notice how I want to go back and do else, so I press backspace. Else, I'll return false. So notice what I have here. I've defined a function, and then everything inside the function is over by a little bit. This is a little bit of a space here. And then when I made an if statement, everything that happens if the first part is true goes here. If I had multiple lines that I needed to do, they would all be indented a little bit. And then next I went to else. Notice how the else has the same indentation as if. And then I did all the lines for the else statement. In this case, there was just one line for each part. And so it's not a very complicated if statement. Let's make another function. It's called type of shape. What you do is you pass in the number of sides. So I would say if the number of sides is equal to 3, then I'll return that this is a triangle. And if you remember from Snap, whenever you wanted to do an if, else, and then do multiple things, you had to do if, else, and then on the next line you did another if statement. So you would say if num sides equals 4, return quadrilateral. And then you would say else, and then you would say if, and you'd slowly start nesting a bunch of functions. In Python, there's a better way to do this. Instead of saying else, if, they've just combined it into one word, elif. So if I delete right there, just get elif. And notice how I don't have to keep going over and over and slowly nesting. And so the next line, instead of doing an else and then an if statement, I'll just keep doing elif. So elif num sides is equal to 5, then I will return pentagon, and then you can just go for as long as you want. Pentagon, and then let's say you get tired or you don't want your function to do anything else, so then you can just give the final thing. What if none of those conditions are true? Then you just say else, return unknown. Alright, so what if you want to see if your functions are actually working? So I'm going to run this script so that it defines my functions. Now over here I can use the functions. So I can say can open checking account. Let's see, if I'm 13 and I have $1,000, I hit enter, it says false. That's because I was too young. If I hit up, it will give me what I had before, and I'll go back and change this a little bit. What if I'm 18 and I have $1,000? It will say true. What if I'm 18 but I only have $10? And it will say false. So it looks like that function is working. Let's do the type of shape function in 3. Press up and change that to a 4. Looks like it's working. 5, and then 6, and then let's try something that I didn't do, like a 2. It says unknown, 30, unknown. So it seems to be working. So here's how you can define a function that uses a conditional statement, if something, else something, or that uses a conditional statement with multiple conditions, if, elif, 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 and then else. And then after you press run to make sure to define the functions, then you can come over here and then you can test them out. Remember, the quick trick to not have to type the same thing over and over again is to just hit up and you can go through everything that you've typed.